Hi there, it's Anne of Rosie Duck Designs here. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. The project that I'm going to share with you is going to feature the Timeless Tulips bundle, which is a bundle that I featured recently on an anniversary card, but we're going to use it to make a very much more scaled down card, but hopefully it's going to be just as pretty. And I'm using what has to be one of my favourite papers at the moment, the Rainbow Glimmer paper. It actually features Bermuda Bay, Blackberry Bliss, Granny Green Apple, Magenta Madness and Mango Melody. But the lovely thing about this paper is that the way the colours merge into each other, it produces a whole extra palette of colour, and it's absolutely ideal for making pretty flowers with absolute minimum effort. So all good, I have to say. And it's got, I'm not sure if the camera will pick this up, but it's got this lovely shimmer effect in the paper, which again is gives a very pretty effect. It's my metric equivalent. Paper measurements has just fallen down. Professional as ever. The other thing that I'm featuring is the Artistry Blooms Designer Series paper, which again is a set of papers that I absolutely love. Again, they're very vibrant and lots of different colours to choose from. I'm just going to grab my catalogue because there's no way I'm going to remember all of them. So we have Bermuda Bay, Calypso Coral, Coastal Cabana, Daffodil Delight, Garden Green, Gorgeous Grape, Granny Green Apple, Magenta Madness, Mango Melody, Melon Mambo, Night of Navy, Rich Razzleberry and Whisper White. So I have to say there's something in there for everybody, for everybody's taste. And in case you haven't had the opportunity to see these papers before, I'm just going to very quickly flick through them just to give you an idea of what is in the packet of Designer Series paper. I have to say that I have used this set of papers a lot, probably one of my favourites from this year's catalogue. There's lots of very nice background papers, but then there's these more papers with extra design, that's the word I'm looking for, which works very well for perhaps the first layer on a card. So this is the one we're going to feature today. Apologise, I'm getting somewhat distracted. I'm hearing a noise and I'm thinking it's thunder, but I think it's somebody rolling their lawnmower over the concrete. So yeah, they've promised us rain and all sorts today, so who knows. So let's get on with our card. Without further ado, so I'm using as my base card Whisper White, and I've cut that as normal at 6 by 8 and scored at 4 on the long side to, as I say, give me my base card. I'm going to add to that 2 pieces of the Designer Series paper. Now my base card metric equivalent is 20 by 15 scored at 10 on the long side, and I've cut the 2 pieces of Designer Series paper at 3 3/4 by 5 3/4 or 9.5 by 14.5. So one is going to go on the front and one is going to go in the middle. I think I'm going to put the more colourful, the brighter side on the front. I'm going to put that in the middle. So I'm just going to stick that down. Centralising that on the front. And then the same in the middle. Now I have prepped some of this already. I didn't want it to go on and on. We all know that I can waffle, but hopefully by the end of it you'll have some ideas of how to use the Timeless Tulip bundle and I have to say that this card requires very little effort, apart from all the cutting and getting it ready, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't require lots and lots of equipment. So this is going to be my inside, that's where I'm going to write my little message. Now that is cut at 3.5 by 5.5, which is 9 by 14 in metric. Now when you cut the designer series paper down, which is effectively 12 by 12, you finish up with this little extra strip that is superfluous, and rather than just throw it away, I'm going to use it to just decorate the inside of my card. So again, I'm not going to put any stamping on the inside, well, not on this side, and in all honesty there's no need to add extra stamping, it's just that I'm going to. So I'm sticking that on there. Now I could obviously cut it down before I stick it, but by doing it this way, by just turning it over, I can just trim it with my scissors, and that way it will fit absolutely perfectly. So let's just put that on the inside of our card. That is just another little idea to use up some little scraps of paper and a different design in the middle of your card. Now I've actually done some stamping to put over on this side, but we're going to concentrate first on the front. Now I've cut a piece of Whisper White, and that is 3.25 by 5.25. I've cut it smaller because I just want some of this pretty paper to be showing through as a nice border. So the equivalent metric on that would be 8.3 by 13.5, and I've already pre-stamped on here using Granny Green Apple. I've used from the Timeless Tulips, I've used this stem. And I've cut out from my rainbow paper, I've cut out 5 tulips. So I've got from, lost my rainbow paper, there it is. So I had some left over of this end of the paper, so I've used that to cut out the darker ones, and I also had enough for one of these, but I've had to, no I didn't actually, no I've cut all 3 out of here. So yes, I've run out of that side of the paper, so I have to use my new sheet, and literally all I have done is taken my tulip punch. Now you need to be aware that each time you punch this, it punches out the leaf, so you don't want to be punching it, for example, this way, because you're going to be punching out a leaf as well, which is wasteful for the paper. If you do it, if you start on this corner, then you will have punched out your first tulip. Then as you move along, then your leaf is just going to be cutting into thin air basically. So again, I can use this on another project. So I'm just coming as close to the edge as I can, so I don't want to waste any of this paper. Just moving it up slightly because I want some of that pink tinge to come out on that yellow tulip. I'm just going to punch that down. So I've got just a very small piece that is going to be wasted of the paper, and I've got a complete tulip there. So I hope that kind of makes sense. Put that over there. So that's how I've just punched out all of these. There's no need for any stamping whatsoever. I did try that on the anniversary card. I tried some heat embossing just to give me some detail, and it really didn't show up. The white version kind of just hid all the pretty colour, and the clear version of the heat embossing didn't show up at all. So it works quite well without any stamping whatsoever. So we just need to build up the card. So I'm going to do this before I stick it, and I've used the leaf punch and the leaf stamp. So it's this stamp from the Timeless Tulip bundle, and all I've done with that, if only I'd have bought my Granny Green Apple ink in. Okay, so we'll do that in a minute. I've punched out, seriously. Oh, you think I'd be better by now, wouldn't you? Probably never going to happen, is it? Let's be honest. So I have stamped on Granny Green Apple cardstock with my Granny Green Apple ink, and that stamp, I've stamped out my leaves, and then I've used my punch to cut out the leaf. So let's see if we can make some sense out of this. So again, I'm going to have the leaves just sticking out a little bit over the top of the card, just to give it a little bit of additional structure. Now I may need some more leaves. I have no idea at the moment. Let's put that one under there. I'm always worrying when I have a cat appear at the door. Got one asleep above me, but he does seem to be staying asleep at the moment, which is good. So we've got 2 leaves there. Then we're going to have this as our main feature. And then we're going to have the 2 yellow tulips down here. So I'm thinking probably one there. Unfortunately, I do have another one cut out. And one there. Perhaps could have 2 there. So I am going to pause this video, and then I'm going to go and get my Granny Green Apple ink, and we're just going to make another couple of leaves just to see what that looks like. So I have literally spent the last however long talking to myself and possibly to the cat, although I think he left halfway through. Having started the video again, it made the right noise that it was supposed to, but then clearly decided it wasn't going to record. So I've made the card up, giving myself detailed instructions on how I did it. So I'm hoping that as you saw it pre-stuck, that there's enough information there as to how to lay the card out, and I'll just run through with what I've actually done. So I've carefully tried to stick them back in the right place. I've now got sun streaming through. I think it's a message somewhere that I really should give up on this. So I have stuck my leaves straight onto my Whisper White cardstock, my 4 leaves here, and then I've stuck my purple tulips straight onto the Whisper White cardstock. I've then again stuck these leaves straight down onto the background card here, and then I've added the 2 yellow tulips. I've added some stamping dimensionals to them to give them some height, and then I've just put in these extra leaves here before again adding this pink tulip with stamping dimensionals. These have just been stuck down straight onto the purple tulips that are underneath. Now the stamp, I have literally just stamped out my leaf, and like the tulip, to save wasting your cardstock, you want to work this way, coming from this side, so right to left, because if you do it this way, you're going to keep getting this large area of the tulip that's cutting out of your card. So coming backwards, all you're going to do, might be good idea to chop some of this random bits of card off. So all you're going to do is you're just going to get a tiny bit of that tulip being cut out, and you're not going to damage any stamping that you've already done for additional leaves. So what I did was I just stamped out the extra leaves that I needed. And just something else that I said was that if you find as you're working with this card that you've got too much leaf, so it's hanging over too much and it's not going in the right direction because you're trying to work with the whole length of it, then just, sounds simple, just simply cut off the bit that you don't want, stick your glue on about half of it, and then you can just attach it where you want it to go, and you're not having to worry about too much extra length of the leaf. I have to say that doesn't look too bad, does it? I might even add that later, but there we go. I'm not going to complicate the issue anymore at the moment. You could finish the card off with a bow, but we all know that I'm pretty rubbish at that as well, so I've avoided that. I've gone with a simple sentiment that I've stamped onto Whisper White card using my Granny Green Apple, and the little sentiment that I've used from that is from the Butterfly Gala stamp set, so just a little note. There's lots of nice sentiments within the Timeless Tulip stamp set that you could use that may be appropriate for the card you're making, or any sentiment that you want to put on there. In addition, I've obviously got my area in here to write our message, but I've added a little extra over here saying sending love and best wishes, and I've got that using the various elements from the Well Said stamp set, and that's just been stamped onto Whisper White cardstock with rich raspberry, and then I've cut that out with a layering oval, and then there's a larger layering oval piece of rich raspberry cardstock at the back of that, which ties in with the colours here on my card. If you haven't got layering ovals, or you haven't got punches, whatever, but you'd still quite like that idea, I'll just share with you how you could perhaps add something to the inside of the card. Let's get the card back again. Now you could just use a complete piece of rich raspberry cardstock, so I would cut that at 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, or 9.5 by 14.5. Just so that you've got the same size card that matches your designer series paper over here. Then I've cut a small piece of Whisper White, and that is at 3 by 5, which in the metric, I've written it down somewhere, 7.5 by 13. And the whole idea is we could stick the designer series paper or your card there, and then we can just add this little piece of white card here with our additional message on. So I have used, as I said, the Well Said stamp set, which at £42 it is quite an investment into your crafting supplies, but I have to say it covers so many different occasions. There's lots of single words which you can put together to make up a sentiment, or there's some longer sentiments here that might be appropriate. I have to say that I have used this an awful lot since I've had it, so it's been well worth actually the investment of this particular stamp set. So I've put the stamps on separate stamp blocks just for ease. I've got my rich raspberry ink pad, which I have to say looks rather worse for wear, so I must replace that, but it's working okay, so we'll use it for now. So what I did was, rather than just work my way down, now if you had a Stamparatus you could quite easily work your way down, and by all means use that. If you haven't, I found the easiest way of doing it was actually to work from the middle line, so love and best, and then add my sending on top of that and my wishes underneath. So that's what we're going to attempt to do. So going for roughly the centre. having pulled the curtain, I'm hoping you're now seeing something. I'm going to put this together, and if it really doesn't work, then it will never be seen again. I think that's the way forward. What can I say? My sending at the top there, and my wishes in the middle there. Now, because I'm not cutting that out, it's a little bit plain, so why don't we use one of the tulip stamps to just liven that up a little bit. So there's the big one, but there's also a couple of smaller ones. So let's grab that one. I don't think I've actually used this one. I'm tending to use this with my punch, so it's quite nice to have the chance to use one of the others. So let's stick one on there, stick one up here, and then we could perhaps put some leaves in the other corner. Actually, I might put this with my tulip. Might come out, but hoping you're getting the gist of it. There we go. A little bit down here. And we could put some Wink of Stella on there just to brighten that up a little bit. This is not perfect, this is just giving you an idea of what you could do. That's working slightly like a blender pen, so I'm going to get a bit of blending with that, but we're also going to get a bit of shimmer. Hello Ollie. Could have done with you. Welcome distraction from the chaos that is my life on video. You're much better in front of the camera than I am, aren't you? Yes. There we go. So yeah, I've got to say that's not perfect. I've actually managed to put a bit of ink here, but and I might sort of reposition that and put the leaves slightly different. But I'm just trying to give you a bit of an idea of what else you could do to pretty up your card and just add a little bit of extra detail. So I'll try not to get any ink on this card. So imagining that was what we were going to do with it, just goes on there. So it's quite a nice little extra that you could add to your card. So I hope this does get seen, because there was quite a bit of work went into this, but so I hope it will make its way onto YouTube. If it does, I hope it's been of some use. I hope that despite the hiccups, that it makes some sort of sense. So thank you for sticking with me to the end. Thank you for watching, and as usual, all my normal links will be on the front. I think I'm now going to go and lie down in a darkened room, but I will be back. If by any stretch of the imagination you've enjoyed the video, then I would really appreciate a thumbs up, and if you'd like a bit of comedy in your life and you'd like to subscribe to my channel, then I would really appreciate that as well. That would be absolutely brilliant. So as I say, I will be back, but until then, do look after yourselves, take care, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.